am Dr. Kamala, Assistant Professor from Government Degree College, Serilingampalli. So today we are going to discuss on fundamental rights. Why this is not only important for our academic point of view, but this is also very much important for competitive examinations. So fundamental rights are the very existence of Indian citizen, we can say. These are very much essential for the overall development of the individual. And these fundamental rights have been incorporated in our constitution from Article 12 to 35 of the Indian Constitution in Part 3. And these have been borrowed from American Constitution. Now these rights are the very much essence for our constitution, we can say, and they form part of the life and blood of our independence nation. Now several freedom fighters like Dadabhai Naoroji, Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru and Bal Gangadhar Tilak strongly pleaded for the provision of some fundamental rights for the enjoyment of freedom and independence. Now students, everyone require freedom. Without freedom or independence, we cannot take in any part of our activity freely, right? We cannot even decide what we have to be. Otherwise, what happens, as Rousseau stated, that man is born free but everywhere he is in chains, we can say, right? So if there are hurdles in our freedom, then we cannot do what we want to be. Like for example, if you want to achieve something in your life, you need some rights, some freedom, right? Now without freedom you can't do anything. So these are very much essential for the individual to achieve his goals, we can say. Now coming back to a topic, these fundamental rights, National Congress in 1885. The extremist leaders, do you know students who are the extremists? Yes, Lal Bal Pal, you know? Yes, one of them, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, you might be heard of his name. So he affirmed that freedom is the birthright of the Indian and Britishers shall voluntarily quit Indian territory. So even the Nehru Report 1928 also recommended for the incorporation of some fundamental rights in the proposed constitution for the realization of materialistic and psychological interests of Indians. Even the Karachi session, I will let you know about these sessions also, because we are running out of time, because see, we have to discuss all the fundamental rights. So I will discuss about Karachi session later. Now Karachi session of Indian National Congress formulated a report mentioning the fundamental rights and duties of Indian citizen. Now this report has become the basis for the incorporation of fundamental rights in the new constitution. So, and this new proposal has been approved by the Constituent Assembly. Now these fundamental rights, we can say that they are very of great significance. They serve as the best means to safeguard the life, liberty and property of the individual. See, everyone wants to have a bright life and everyone wants, is it not students? Everyone wants liberty and of course property also, right? Now these are meant for welfare of the students, we can say, individuals, we can say. Now they acts as these fundamental rights acts as the main instrument for realizing the inherent talents and capabilities of the individual. Now your students also have different talents, inner talents, right? Now if we curtail your freedom, then you cannot means show your inner talent, or you will hide your inner talents, right? So if you want to give a colorful look like a colorful rainbow, then you should have such liberty, such freedom, right? So if freedom is there, then the inherent talents and capabilities of the individuals can be realized. So these are very much essential, we can say. Now even if we see the inference, see, we have organs like legislature, executive and judiciary, right? In the previous class we have discussed, no students, that we have three organs like legislature, executive and judiciary. Now if we see these fundamental rights can limit the excessive interference of the legislature and executive bodies in the domain of individual freedom. Now, to protect this, even the judicial organizations in the country safeguard these rights in case they are infringed or abridged or confiscated by others, including the government. Right? For example, if your neighbor or if your parent, suppose they make you some sort of restrictions that you won't find any freedom to do any right activity, then you will feel very bad. At that time, if you make a complaint to the highest court, your rights will be provided, or your rights will be given back to you, right? Now the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts under Article under Article 32 and 226 of the Constitution, they will issue writs like habeas corpus, mandamus, certiorari, quo warranto. This we will discuss later, what are the writs and why they are issued, and which authority will issue such writs. Okay students, so we will discuss it later. Now in the examination point of view also, these are very much essential questions that are raised in not only in academic but also in competitive examinations. So definitely I am going to discuss about this writs. Now we'll move on to the fundamental rights. Now in fundamental, if we take the fundamental rights, there have been we have different rights like right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to property, right to constitutional remedies. So these are all visible in your in this slide, right? Now the right, will first discuss about right to equality. Okay students, so we'll move on to right to equality. Now this right to equality is mentioned in 5 articles from articles 14 to 18 of our Constitution. Now this right establishes what? The rule of law. The rule of law is nothing but this term has been referred by A.V. Dicey. So, rule of law. Now, Article 14 guarantees equality before law and equal protection of law for all individuals residing within the territory of India. Now, we have different states, right? So, in different states, we have different people. So, all individuals who are staying in India will have what? Equal law. Means they all enjoy equality before law, right? So the words equality before law means that all individuals shall be subject to the same laws, same courts and same procedure. Okay, there is no special treatment to anyone. All the citizens will have equal protection of law and equality before law. So there shall be no discrimination between individuals on the grounds of wealth, status or position. Right? Means the law does not make any differentiation whether if it is a prime minister or a common man commits any mistakes, then they will be punished, right? So there will be no partiality in giving judgment, we can say. So the phrase even the equal protection of law implies that every citizen shall be accorded the same treatment in similar circumstances, right? Now we'll move on to right to freedom, another right under right to equality, right? Now this article 15 provides that state shall not discriminate any citizen on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, and place of birth, we can say. Now for example, if you are going to a public place, for example, if Surya is going to some place or Gayatri is going to some place where public is there that if someone belongs to some caste or some gender, there should not be any differentiation, because it is a public place where everyone is equal. If you take for example educational institutions or a public park, right, hotels, there we should not have any discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex. All are equal, right? So according and so we are stating that this is a right to equality where everyone is equal, we can say, right? Article 16, if we go to article 16 also, this is also comes under right to equality. Don't forget that we are all the articles, it means we are discussing here 5 articles, students. So you have to remember that this comes under right to equality only. Now article 16 states that citizens shall enjoy equal opportunities in the matters of employment or appointment to any office in India. Now this was recently amended by the Constitution, now by 85th Amendment Act 2001. So it provides for reservation to government servants belonging to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. We'll move on to Article 17. Now this article states abolishes untouchability and declares the practice of untouchability as a cognizable offence. Now it also empowers the Parliament to enact law in this regard. So accordingly, the Untouchability Offences Act 1955 was enacted and it was amended and renamed as Protection of Civil Rights Act 1955. Once again, remember that the Untouchability Act 1955 was enacted and it was amended and renamed as Protection of Civil Rights Act 1955. This you have to remember, students. Now Article 18 also forbids the state to confer any title other than military or academic distinction on the citizen. So it prohibits the citizen to accept any title from any foreign state without the consent of the President of India, right? So, however, the state can honor the citizens for their outstanding performances by conferring on them some titles like Bharat Ratna, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shri. Bharat Ratna is the highest award, right? So, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shri, and some other military titles such as Paramveer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra, etc. can be given. The Supreme Court in 1996 held that they are not titles of nobility and hence do not violate Articles 14 or 18 provided they are not used as titles or prefixes or suffixes. You know prefixes or suffixes? Yes, most of you know prefixes or suffixes to the name of the awardee. Right. Next article we are going to discuss is right to freedom. Student, concentrate on the lecture. So we are moving to right to freedom. Now it protects the individuals from the repressive acts of the executive. Now at present, this article provides 6 freedoms to every citizen. Right? How many freedoms? 6 freedoms. They are as follows. We can say they are freedom of speech and expression. Right? Freedom of speech and expression. Second one is freedom to assemble peacefully and without arms. Right. Third one, freedom to form association or unions. Next one, freedom to move freely throughout India. Next, freedom to settle in any part of India. And finally, freedom to practice any profession or to carry any occupation, trade or business. So you have the right to freedom of expression. Freedom of expression, because see, speech and expression. Here's the slide. Right to this means freedom of expression is a human right. Right. Now without any you have the right to speech, to give speech against or criticize whatever you want to express. You can express with the help of your speech, right? And the second one we are talking about, assemble peacefully without arms. See, arms makes what? Violence, right? So we can assemble peacefully where the information can be given to the others without disturbing anyone. Right? We can assemble peaceably without it. Otherwise, what happens? Do you know the history of Jallianwala Bagh, where see, weapons have been bought and unnecessary, the big incident has been gone on the big gathering, right? So freedom to assemble peacefully and without arms, you have that right. Next one, freedom to form associations or unions. See, you can form the associations, you can form the unions also with this freedom, right? Next, freedom to move freely throughout India. So you have that right within the territory of India. You can move from one place to other in search of education or in search of employment, right? Everyone has the right to move freely from one part of India to another part. Next, freedom to settle in any part of India. So, we have the right to settle in any part of India. Okay. So, next, freedom to practice and profess or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. See, when you have such a freedom, with your freedom or with your inner capabilities, with your inner talent, you can acquire any occupation of which you like. Right, student? So, may I ask you how many means what you want to be? What is your goal? Will answer or not? Yes, some of you want to become police officer, some of you want to become an IAS officer. See, you can do anything with this freedom. If freedom is not there, suppose if your freedom is curtailed by your parents, don't go to any institution, don't pursue higher education, then what happens? Your freedom will be curtailed. If parents give such a freedom to access for education, obviously you will achieve the goals what you dream, right? So you can practice freedom to practice any profession with this equality, right to freedom, right? Now, if we see, art means these freedoms are guaranteed in Article 19 of the six freedoms have been guaranteed to us through Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. Here we are discussing about right to freedom, articles 19 to 20. Now we move on to article 20. Now article 20 states that no person shall be penalized unless he disobeys the law. So what it grants? It grants protection against arbitrary and excessive punishment to any person who commits an offense. So no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. That you have to remember. Now means no person shall be forced to give evidence against himself also, right? Next we'll move on to article 21. Now this article provides that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty. See, we know that right to life is a very much essential. So this article is protecting us the life, right? Life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. The Constitution has made an amendment, that is 86th Amendment Act in 2002, has inserted a new article 21A. So it proclaims that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all the children of the age of 6 to 14 years in such a manner as the state may by law determine. The Supreme Court held that right to life is not merely confined to physical existence, but it includes within its ambit the right to live with human dignity and many other rights as part of Article 21. So, free and compulsory education is made mandatory, we can say, right? So because it comes under fundamental right under article 21 of the 21A of the Indian Constitution through 86th Amendment Act 2002. This you have to remember. Which amendment? Through which amendment article 21A was inserted? That question might be asked. Or through which act or amendment it is the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all the children to the age of 6 to 14 years. So next we'll discuss about article 22. Now article 22 states that no person is arrested or shall be detained in custody without being informed on the grounds for such arrest. So you should produce warrant. If a person is arrested, that person should be produce a warrant. Now no person shall be denied the right to consult and to be defended by a legal practitioner of his choice. And even person who is arrested and detained in custody shall be produced before the nearest magistrate within the period of 24 hours, like habeas corpus we can say. The person who is arrested and detained in custody shall be produced before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours. So habeas corpus is related to this article, we can say. It is a writ issued by the highest judiciary authority. That you have to remember. Right. Next we'll discuss about right against exploitation. So this right is conferred on individuals for recognizing, preserving and promoting their dignity and self-respect. Right? Everyone would like to have dignity and self-respect in the society. Is it not? Yes. So for promoting the dignity and self-respect, its ultimate purpose is that neither the state nor the affluent section shall exploit the individual. So no one has the right to exploit the individuals. If someone exploits the individuals, then he will be punishable by the highest authority, as it is as the individual or the citizen is protected by the judiciary. Right. Article 23 and 24 talks about a right against exploitation. So Article 23 prohibits all sorts of inhuman acts such as sale and purchase of human beings and other similar forms of forced labor. As you know, human beings are not toys, right students? Human beings are alive, they have a life, right? So the individuals or the co-persons have no right to sell you, right? Even the parents does not have the right to sell you, right? Okay, so it prohibits all sorts of inhuman acts such as sale and purchase of human beings, because and other similar forms of forced labor is also there, right? So these kind of inhuman activities are prohibited. Next, if we move to Article 24. Now this Article 24 prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in a factory. We have already discussed Article 21A. So it guarantees what? Yes, compulsory, free and compulsory education to all the children of the age of 6 to 14. Now here, when it is a fundamental right for accessing higher education, so here if we see Article 24 prohibits the employment of children, because this is the age where you learn new things, right? So it is the age of training, or it is a age of getting knowledge, right? So that is the reason Article 24 prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in a factory, mine and such other dangerous fields. And the state is entitled to impose compulsory military service for public purposes without any discrimination, right? Next, we move on to another right to freedom of religion, from Articles 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution. So students, you know that India is a country actually which has many languages, many religion, right? And many other castes also. So it is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious state, we can say. And in this state we are forming, means unity, we are maintaining unity in diversity, right? So these articles which now we are going to discuss, articles 25 to 28 of our constitution actually deals with right to freedom of religion. Now, these articles actually relate to secularism of our political system. Now, secular in the state means, secular means what? The state should be neutral in religious matters. It should not interfere in the internal matters of religion, right? So, secular. So, secularism should be there. In order to establish secular state, we have this right. Our constitution provided this right to transform India into a secular state. The citizens of India as well as foreigners also enjoy this right. So we'll discuss about Article 25 now, which empowers every person to profess, practice and propagate any religion of his choice. He has the right. He can profess or he can practice and he can propagate any religion for to the better public order, morality and health. But he should not disturb other religion. That should be kept in his mind. Right, student? So you have the right to profess, practice and propagate any religion, right? And it entitles the state to make legislation in order to regulate the activities that are connected with the religious practices, right? So Article 26, if we see Article 26, next article, Article 26, if we see, guarantees every religious groups or denomination to see that they establish and maintain religious and charitable institution for the development of their religion. Okay, every religion has the freedom or the liberty to establish and maintain religion and charitable institution of their own. And it also states that it can manage its own religious affairs. But you should see that it should not interfere in the other religions, right? So it should manage its own religious affairs. It should own and acquire movable and immovable properties and to administer such property in accordance with the law. Next, we'll discuss about Article 27. So, Article 27 prohibits imposition or collection of taxes from individuals for maintaining or promoting religion. See, you have your own choice to select the religion. The governments have no authority to collect any taxes on the religion you are professing or practicing. Whichever religion you are professing or practicing, on that religion the authority should not impose any taxes. It also abolishes the collection of taxes from the individuals by the state authorities for the benefit of a particular religion. Right. Now we'll move on to Article 28. Now it prohibits religious instructions in any educational institution, which is, you have to remember that, any educational institutions which is wholly managed or aided by the state. Now, if it is a public institution, there should not be any religious instructions. Okay, if such incidents are taking place, then it is booked as a case, right? So it should not practice such religious instructions, because it is an institution that is maintained by the government. So the government should treat all the citizens equally. So it prohibits religious instructions in any educational institutions only managed or aided by the state. Next, we'll move on to cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational rights, right? From articles and educational rights, Article 29 to 30 of the Indian Constitution. So these articles provide for cultural and educational rights to the Indian citizen. So 29 enables every citizen to protect his own language, script and culture, irrespective of communal, regional and linguistic consideration, because it enables the minorities to preserve their language and culture. See, in the olden days, what everything was means written in the form of scriptures on the walls, right? Monasteries, if you see the history. So see, why these have been written and why these has been preserved, because we need to know the history and we need to know the culture of our society or our forefathers, right? So every citizen has to protect his own language, script and culture, irrespective of communal, regional and linguistic considerations, right? Next, Article 30. This article is a special treatment to any means forbids any special treatment to any citizen in the admission into educational institution, either wholly or partly funded by the state, on the ground of caste, religion, region, color, language or gender. Means there is no discrimination. However, the state can provide special facilities for preserving the language, culture and script of the minorities. Right, next we'll discuss about right to property. Now, right to property, actually it has been deleted from the fundamental rights, right? So it was deleted and it was kept under 44th Constitutional Amendment, and it has been declared as a legal right under Article 300A of the Indian Constitution. Now this provides right to proper under means proper under law and implies that the citizen can acquire or dispose property. Right to property has been deleted and by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. This is very much important from the point of competitive examination also. Right. Next, we'll move on to right to constitutional remedies. Now, this right is considered as the soul of the Indian Constitution, and this right is the most important fundamental right, we can say. Now, through this right, the Supreme Court issues different writs, like as we have earlier discussed that the Supreme Court acts as the custodian of the fundamental rights, acts as a custodian of the fundamental right. So as it is playing a so Article 31 clause 1, the citizen can approach the Supreme Court of India by due process of law for the implementation of fundamental rights included in Chapter 3 of the Constitution. Right. So the Supreme Court and various state high courts issue several writs. So I have already told you that habeas corpus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto, etc., for regulating or restricting the acts of offenders and those restoring to the infringement of fundamental rights. So, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who is the main architect of the Indian Constitution, has described that this right as the soul of the fundamental rights. So, today I think time is up. So, we'll discuss the remaining topic in the other class, right? Thank you very much.